Welcome to the Kidney Cafe. I'm so glad you came to stay. Sit on down, make yourself at home. Welcome to the Kidney Cafe with Chef Benne.
Hey guys, this is Chef Benne in the Kidney Cafe, and I am super excited to be in your homes today. Let me share with you what the Kidney Cafe is all about, because I need us to become partners. What does that mean? That means every Tuesday night, or whenever the Kidney Cafe with Chef Benne airs, I need you to make sure that you tuned in. But not just tuned in, I need you to share with your family and friends all about the Kidney Cafe, because the Kidney Cafe is designed to educate you, to encourage you, and to inspire you in reference to healthy eating and a healthy lifestyle. Let me tell you something. This has been a journey for yours truly, Chef Benne. I started out, everyone, in the 6th grade wearing a size 40 Husky jeans. Yes, what does that mean? That means that at an early age as a child, I was not eating right. I was not doing the things that I needed to do, but guess what? I didn't know what I needed to do. My regimen was a honey bun, it was a Mr. Good bar, and it was some salt and vinegar potato chips. Me as a young kid coming home with that little $1 a day that I used to get back in the day. And I had no clue of what would happen later on down the line. So one of the things about the Kidney Cafe is we're going to show you different dishes, and we're going to show you different options and choices to make sure that we change the way we eat. I'm a graduate from Morehouse College, and let me tell you something. When I lived in Atlanta, Georgia, that was some of the best food that you can ever imagine. I used to go from place to place. I'm not going to mention some of those places, but you know Atlanta is famous for the all-you-can-eat places, as well as some amazing restaurants and some amazing chefs and cooks along the way. So I'll tell you one thing. It has been a journey. During my time in Atlanta, I developed gout. Gout is a buildup of uric acid. And what happened was it was caused from eating red meat, highly seasoned food, and yes, alcohol. I am a church boy, but a church boy that like a little bit of, what do we call that in church? Every first Sunday, it's called, what is that we call? You know what it's called. It's called communion. So sometimes I just had to have a little bit of communion, baby. But anyway, what happened over the years was I started to, the gout became worse and worse. So I started to take a certain kind of medication. The medication, it immediately removed the gout, but guess what it did? The doctor said to me, if you don't get it together and change your eating habits, what's going to happen then is you're going to have kidney failure. Now, I'm in my 20s saying that's not going to happen to me. And guess what? At 26, when I started my own business, the first thing the doctor did was put me on, at 26, y'all, put me on high blood pressure medicine. So you see where I'm going? So it started with the gout. Then from the gout, it went to high blood pressure medicine. And then guess what, ladies and gentlemen? One day I was sitting at work and I'm just laughing. All of a sudden, my stomach started hurting. Next thing you know, the doctor tell me, but before I even get into the kidney failure, the doctor said one day, hey, you pre-borderline diabetic. I had no clue what that meant. The doctor just said, you need to watch what you're eating. I never thought about going to a nutritionist. I never thought about going to a dietitian. I continued my regular lifestyle. And guess what? I found myself on dialysis. If you've been on dialysis, I found myself as a diabetic. And if you are a diabetic, you know what this means. This is your lifeline. This is the long-term insulin, and this is the short-term insulin. And a lot of times you may see this little needle here, but who wants to continue to shoot themselves every single day, several times a day? Who want to do that? So because of that, I want to be able to change and reverse my diabetes. And part of that is how I eat and how I change my lifestyle. So now I'm finding myself, I have high blood pressure, I'm a diabetic, and those are two of the leading causes of kidney failure. So with the diabetes, with the high blood pressure, and with suffering with gout, what do you think happened? I was sitting on the sofa one day, and then all of a sudden my stomach started hurting. I went to the doctor. They said to me, I had kidney failure. Now, you know I'm not going to just take the first doctor that says that. What did I do? I went to the emergency room to another hospital, and guess what? They said the same thing. They said I had kidney failure. So what's going to happen is that when we come back, because I want to really share this with you, because I know that I'm going to be able to help people, because I'm a diabetic. I also had kidney failure. And when we come back, I'm going to tell you the amazing thing that happened in my life and why we're here today with the Kidney Cafe. So I want you to, while we're on commercial, baby, you better get on the phone and call your friend and say, hey, he's talking about you. You need to tune in. We'll be right back after these messages. It's no more talking about me. It's about the stove, because we need to burn. So today, I'm going to do my jerk chicken and shrimp veggie delight. Oh my, when that shoulder start acting up, baby, then you know the aroma is going to be all in the place. And you have to understand, we got to have fun when we cooking. So all of you folks that's listening and with your tight, you all on the sofa trying to see what's going on, your face all on. No, baby, you need to relax and enjoy, because Chef Benne and the Kidney Cafe is going to change lives across the country. Can't you see a Kidney Cafe food truck in a neighborhood near you with food that we give away to the community? All right, everybody, enough of me. You're going to hear a lot about me. And also I'm bringing in chefs, brand new chefs to come in front of you to show you how they cook as well. All right, everybody, it's time for me to get ready to cut this gas on. So we're going to go to commercial. When we come back, baby, it's about rocking and rolling. This is Chef Benne in the Kidney Cafe. We'll be right back after these messages. Hey guys, like I said, we're in the kitchen and it's time for us to really cook this jerk chicken shrimp veggie delight. Okay, now I just wanted to mention to you while we get this prepared. Well, first of all, now you know if I'm cooking out in the public, I'm going to have gloves on, but you know I am at home. So because I'm at home and you're in my kitchen, I'm going to cook the way I would normally cook. Okay, all right, so what's going to happen, guys, is we're going to get ready. And what I normally like to do is, well, first, let me just share this with you, that it is important that you monitor what you eat and you eat properly when you have kidney disease. That is important because that's a maker or a breaker. Remember, we talked earlier, it is crucial that you pay attention, and that is why we started the Kidney Cafe. Now, the kidneys, what it does is that it's going to filter the food through our bodies to make sure that it's going to filter the waste. That's right. It's going to filter the kidneys is going to filter the waste that we create by food that we put in our body to make sure that the nutrients and the minerals are in check. So that's why it's important to make sure that you properly keep your kidneys in check. Now, when we talk about protein, okay, what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to get this jerk season on here. I tell you, and it smells really amazing. So what I do, everybody, is I start off with seasoning my jerk. And what I like to do is I like to add my Chef Benne seasonings, even though I already used my jerk seasoning sauce. And you know what I told you what was in here. So it's important that you do a little bit of that. And then later on in the show, we're going to talk about sodium, okay? But now I want to talk about protein. Ooh, baby, when I talk about protein, I don't want to get people all mixed up when we talk about protein. Because one of the things, I'm trying to talk and cook, but let me just put this in here. Because what's going to happen, guys, is I'm going to talk about protein in a minute, but I want to be able to get this in the oven. So you're going to take the excess juice from the jerk seasoning and you're going to get that ready. And this is going to go in the oven. Okay. So we're going to put this in the oven. We're going to set the oven to 350 degrees and we're going to sit this in open. I'm going to tell you why we're going to sit it in open. We're going to sit it in open because I want to first get that charred look on it. Then I'm going to close it up. And then what I like to do is I like to turn the temperature down to about 300. And usually I let it simmer for about maybe about 8 hours. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna start off in your oven on 350. You're gonna put that in with the top off. You're gonna keep the top off for about 30 minutes. And then you're gonna put the top on, put it back in the oven. You're gonna lower the temperature until about 300. And then you're gonna keep that there for normally, but it's up to you. I like to say 5 to 6 hours, sometimes 8, depending on what I'm doing. But that's important to do that. So then while we're doing that, we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna get our shrimp ready. And we're also gonna start our Veggie Delight. Now, what I like to do, everybody, and olive oil is a superfood. So what I like to do is I like to prepare my veggies. Now, it's not gonna take that long to cook the shrimp. You know that. And it is important that we really talk about protein, but we're gonna do that when we get back because I wanna really get some things going here. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna turn my fire up just a little bit. You're gonna keep the fire on medium to low heat when you do that. And the same thing there. I like to put my asparagus on the grill. I like to put them on the grill because I want that grill look. I got fresh asparagus. I normally go to the market to get all of my items, and sometimes I go into the grocery store, but I like to go to the fresh markets to get my items. So what's gonna happen is we're going to put the asparagus on here, and what I normally do is I'll come back with a little olive oil that I put on top as well as on the bottom. You can hear it. And then I use a little of my Chef Benne Seasonings. I already told you what they are. We're just gonna put a little bit of seasoning on here, okay? And we're gonna go ahead and start with our peppers. Now, I don't know if you know this, but red peppers is a superfood. It's a food that, according to the kidneyfund.org, according to DaVita, according to so many places, they talk about the superfoods, which we're going to address later on in the show. But what you want to do, olive oil is a superfood, your red peppers is a superfood, your onions is a superfood. I'm putting some onions in here, some red peppers, and what I like to do is I like for the onions and the red pepper, I like this to start first. This is the first thing that I like to saute. Is my red onions, but of course me being extra, I have red, I have orange, I have yellow onions in here, and I have red, yellow, and orange peppers, and then I have my onions. So I know, guys, I know you're having a good time, but we gotta go back to commercial. But when we come back, we're going to continue the jerk chicken shrimp veggie delight. This is Chef Benne, guys. Stay tuned. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. All right, guys, you see that I'm getting the veggies ready to go into my wok. I wanted to make sure that the asparagus had that little brown grill taste to it. Okay, so that's why I have that there. And what's important is I'm going to go straight to my mushrooms and put my mushrooms in. I already put the peppers and I put the onions in there, and the mushrooms is going to have to take some time. And what I normally do is once I get it in the pot, I'll go ahead and cut it down a little bit more, kind of chop it a little bit more, my mushrooms. But I love me some mushrooms, guys. So, and mushrooms also a good source of protein. And we're going to talk about protein. I keep saying we're going to talk about protein. So this is probably a good time to talk about protein. But before we do that, I want to go ahead and let me just add everything to my veggie delight here. Oh wow, that looks great. That looks amazing already. And then look how great that looks. Then what we're going to do is we're going to add our green beans. And while we add our green beans, let me just share with you, I like to go to markets and I like to go to particular grocery stores that have a really good section of your fruits and veggies. And why is that? That is because vegetables is going to is going to be crucial in your life if you know that you're going to start trying to eat healthy. And the thing about it is that so many people say all the time, they say, well, it's so expensive to go vegan or whatever. I'm not necessarily talking about going vegan. I'm talking about just changing your lifestyle around. I want you to, and look how beautiful this look. And we haven't even added our broccoli. That's a little secret when I add the broccoli. What I normally do, guys, is you see how I have all of my items in, my veggies so far. And so what I like to do is I like to come back with Chef Benne Seasoning. Okay, now mind you, it's very little salt in here. That's why I have no problem using it. I told you about the rosemary. I told you about the thyme. I told you about the fresh garlic. Chef Benne little extra pow that that shoulder. I told you about that shoulder lean. You don't want that shoulder to get going. Once that shoulder get going, I may have to take off. That's because the food smells so good. And I love to cook. You probably can tell. So listen. And this is really important. Let's put our shrimp here. Let's cut this off. And let me wash my hands first. Now, what's important is you want to make sure, guys, that you practice sanitation as much as possible. I'm going to tell you why. And that is because of the times that we're in now. We're in times where it is crucial that if you're going to service the public, you need to make sure you know what you're doing, and you need to make sure that you're properly sanitizing your hands. And normally when I'm cooking around other chefs, which you'll see later, you'll see me in my beard protector, okay? So what's gonna happen now is we're gonna put our shrimp in. What I did was I already marinated the shrimp in our jerk sauce. And you always remember about shrimp. Shrimp doesn't take that long to cook. Okay? The shrimp doesn't take that long to cook. So what you want to do is I'm going to put a little bit in here. And it smells amazing. And so you know I'm going to cook all of this, right? Okay? And then what I like to do is I like to add my little seasoning on top, just to give us that really good little green look that you're going to see. Just a little extra pump to it, okay? All right, so when we talk about protein, guys, it's very important. The purpose of protein is really good for us because it helps to build muscles. Protein, it kind of helps your body to heal, okay? There's lots of things that protein will do, but the most important thing is we have to have protein in our diet every day. Now, let me tell you, there are two sources of protein. There is the animal source of protein, and there is the plant source of protein. The animal source of protein is the chicken that we have in the oven that we talked about. And another animal source of protein is our shrimp, okay? Which is seafood. Then what we have is we have our plant-based protein, okay? Now, this is the catch that I want y'all to pay attention to while we let this marinate. What I want you to pay attention to is if you have CKD, which we already talked about what that is, chronic kidney disease. We don't like to say disease, so if you have CKD, it is crucial that you limit the amount of protein because it makes the kidneys work harder to get rid of that waste from that food in order for you to have that the nutrients and the minerals in your body to be stable. So the next thing is if you're on dialysis, guess what? You have to have more protein. So we're going to go to commercial break. When we come back, I want to dig a little bit more into that because I don't want to get you confused about can you have protein or can you not have protein? Can you be a vegan? Can you not be a vegan? We're going to discuss that and a little bit more when we come back. We'll be right back after these messages. All right, guys, we're almost finished here. I just wanted the veggies to saute down a little more. Now it's time for us to create our jerk sauce that we already have. So I put a little olive oil in the pan, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to use, I'm gonna go ahead and use all of it. See how y'all done forced me. Okay. All right, so what's gonna happen now is I'm going to just also, while I'm doing that, I'm just gonna put my broccoli in here. Why did I wait last for the broccoli? I'm gonna tell you why. I waited last for the broccoli is because it's only gonna take the broccoli a couple of minutes. I can't stand that old soggy kind of broccoli. No, we don't want to do that. We don't want that soggy broccoli. We want our broccoli to be nice and fresh, full of nutrients. What did I tell you what the kidney does? The kidney filters. It filters. The job of the kidney. You're going to hear me say filter all the time because that's what it's supposed to do. It is supposed to get rid of the waste from the food that you have eaten to make sure that your body and your blood stay balanced with the nutrients and the minerals and the nutrients in your body. So that's important. And remember what we said before break, because my shrimp is ready. But you know what I want to do is, some folks are funny. I'm trying to talk and cook, but let me just put this in here. And then I'm going to add that. But I want my sauce to simmer a little bit. And I put a little bit of my seasoning in there because there's not a lot of seasoning in the sauce. So I come back with a little bit of my seasoning, which we talked about. If you've been paying attention and you know what's in it, I have to do a little bit of that. And then I also like to come back and just to kind of just, you know, I just like to make sure that I have all of my ingredients all together. Now, this is the chicken. You saw me when I put the chicken in the oven, took the chicken out the oven, I cut up the chicken. We're gonna put a lot of that in the sauce. But before we even put that in the sauce, what we wanna do is we wanna let the sauce get just a little, I'm gonna add just a little bit more of the olive oil to my sauce. Turn the pan up just a little bit. Turn the fire up just a little bit. Put a little olive oil in there. Yes, this is better. It's giving me more of a loose feel to it. Now, what do we say about protein? Because that's important. Let me tell you this while we're just letting this simmer down a little bit. The thing about protein that's really important for us to understand is that if you have CKD, chronic kidney disease, you already know that you have to limit your protein. Now, let me tell you a quick story. When I was on dialysis, when I started dialysis, I was a vegan. And the first thing the doctor said to me was, you're gonna have to start eating more meat. And I was like, why? He said to me, because what the dialysis machine is going to do is it's going to filter your blood for you, what your kidneys would normally do, so your body can be balanced with the nutrients and the minerals. And so what's going to happen is you're going to be at a situation where you're going to be lacking and you're going to need more protein. Now, we talked about different ways. Oh, our sauce is ready. Our sauce is ready, baby. That's what we're going to do. So we're going to take a little bit of this sauce here. Look how beautiful it is. We're going to take some of this sauce and we're going to put it on our shrimp. We're going to take, because we need also some for the chicken. So what we're going to do is we're going to put the sauce on our shrimp and we're going to marinate that really good. I turned the fire off because I told you it only takes a second for shrimp to get done. I would say about a good 5 to 7 minutes is the most. Once you start to see it turning pink, you're starting to know that your shrimp is done. But one thing you don't want to do is you don't want to overcook your shrimp. So now what I decided to do is I decided to take the chicken. Now, well, first of all, let's change that because I don't hear nobody say I'm trying to talk and cook. But let me just put this in here. So I want you to look, if you can see inside of here, I have this chicken looking really good. If you are on dialysis, it is very important that you eat more protein. When you're not on dialysis and you have kidney failure, then what happens is that you have to monitor that. So that's really important. So now when we come back, you're going to see the finished product because I'm going to take the chicken And I'm gonna put it in here, take some aside, and put the shrimp in here. And when we come back, you're gonna see the final look. So don't go nowhere, baby, because the jerk chicken shrimp veggie delight will be ready for tasting. We'll be right back. We have now finished the jerk shrimp chicken, or chicken and shrimp veggie delight. And before I get into it, let me kind of go over what I did today. Remember what we talked about. We started off with the olive oil, which is a superfood. We'll get into that later. Then after the olive oil, I wanted to put in, well, I put in my peppers, my red peppers, which is another superfood, but you know me, I'm extra. I had to use the yellow and the orange also. Then I came back with my red onions, which is another superfood. One thing that I missed, see, I was showing off, I didn't put garlic in there. So we're gonna talk about garlic in a little bit. But normally when I do the garlic along with the onions and the peppers, your whole room will start to just, it would just light up because of the great aroma and the smell. Then, and I did all of this in a wok, you saw it. Then I came back with the mushrooms because I wanted my mushrooms to be perfect. And you see in here, I'm not going to get it to eat, but when you see in here, you really can't even see why I hear this here, because it's all, it just fits in so wonderful. So listen, after the mushrooms, then I came with all of the greens. I came with the asparagus that I did on the grill. And then from the asparagus, I did the green beans. And I wanted the green beans to cook a little bit first. So I boiled them just for a tad. And then I put them in here because it's important to make sure that we keep those nutrients, okay? So then I did last was the broccoli. Why? Because I want you to see, look how amazing this broccoli looks. Oh, one thing I can't stand is going to these corner stores and you get your little shrimp and broccoli and the broccoli is all sour. No, I need that fresh, crisp taste when I hit that broccoli. It needs to be crunchy for me so I know that they didn't cook out all the nutrients. And then I came back and I put the chicken in and took some out because, you know, we have people who do not eat seafood. And then I came back and I put the shrimp in. And when I tell you, let me just pick up one of these, oh my God, the shrimp by itself is just amazing. So let's go into, we talked about protein. And remember what I told you about that. And I can't stress it enough. But one thing I will tell you is I'm not a physician, baby. I'm a kidney transplant survivor who is still learning how to make amazing dishes for the kidney population. And because I'm a diabetic, I want to make sure that I reverse my diabetes. And how I do that is I watch the content, I watch what I eat, and remember what's really important, which we're going to talk about on the next segment, is portion control. Because you got to make sure, because this is one thing that I want you to understand. And for the critics out there that's going to be judging what I make and all of that, it's important for you to understand that as a diabetic and as just a general person in general, we should be able to eat a lot of things that we want to eat. It's just that we have to do it in moderation. It's called PC. So you heard me when I talked early on the show about CKD, which is chronic kidney disease, KD, which is kidney disease. And when you hear me say PC, that's me talking about portion control, okay? All right, so now what's also important is I'm gonna taste this because, you know, I have to taste it. You know, my signature thing is to taste it and see how the spirit moves. So I'm gonna taste it now. But we also gotta talk about sodium. Because you see, what's really important is we also have to find salt substitutes. So the garlic I use all the time is a salt substitute. So I would not have to have a lot of sodium. Sodium is important for people with CKD, and it's also crucial with people on dialysis. Let me tell you something. Sodium, we all need sodium in our bodies. However, we have to make sure that we limit the kind of sodium that we would need because of what it will do to you. But we'll get to that afterwards. I need to taste this food because it's time for a commercial break already. But let me just taste this food because I tell you, I'm excited today to get this jerk. Listen to me, listen to me. It is important for you, before we go to break, to understand you have to start preparing meals for yourself. I'm sorry, Mr. Restaurateur. I'm sorry, the folks that love to eat out and all of that. And there's nothing wrong with that if you know how the people are preparing the dishes. But if you have kidney failure, if you are diabetic, it is more important for you to know how they prepared the dishes. You didn't see me use a whole lot of butter. You didn't see me use margarine. You didn't see me pull out vegetable oil. We don't know how they cooking their food. You need to tune in every week to the Kidney Cafe. It's not just going to be me. We're going to have guest chefs, and we're going to have dietitians, and we're going to have people to show you proper ways to eat. So listen, we're going to go to break because it's time for us to dig all up into this. When we come back off a break, and I would love for you to see us eat, but I know you won't be able to. When we come back off a break, we're going to talk about sodium, and then we're going to talk about portion control and talk about snacks. So I don't want you to go anywhere. We talk about sodium, portion control, and snacks when we come back here on the Kidney Cafe with Chef Benne, baby. We'll be right back after these messages. I know you're saying, well, wait a minute now. Is this a cooking show, or is he on here teaching and preaching and praising God and all that? Well, it's a little bit of everything and above. Because this is our first show, I just wanted to kind of set the parameters for you to let you know not only what's going to be taking place all throughout the season, but also I want to make sure that we stress those important things. A lot of things that we're going to be talking about on this show is going to be protein, potassium, phosphorus, and sodium. And that's going to be very important how we make our dishes, because my job is to show you alternatives. It's to show you different ways of eating, different styles of eating. The chefs are coming in just to bring an extra flair to you so we can be able to make sure that we're all on the same page. I know for a fact that all of my dialysis people that are watching the show, as well as family members of dialysis people, you also know how sodium is important. It is important for us to have sodium, but too much sodium is what is going to cause us to retain fluid. And what happens when we retain fluid? Let me just share something with you, and then we're going to make some snacks, and I'm going to talk about my drink too, but let me just share something with you. When I left dialysis, or when I used to leave dialysis on Friday, and I don't have treatment again until Monday, guess what happened Sunday night? You have to remember, we can only drink a certain amount of fluids a day. I believe it's 32 ounces for the whole day. Don't quote me, but I believe that's what it was. I'm not on dialysis anymore, praise the Lord, but I think it was 32 ounces for the whole day. This is someone like yourself, someone like myself, who used to drink a gallon of water every day, being a vegan before I became a kidney patient on dialysis. What happens? I know some of y'all saying it now. Yes, we started to retain a lot of fluid. Then we come into treatment. How about there's some days I will go to treatment where I couldn't wait to run through those doors. Why? Because I couldn't breathe. Why? Because my feet were swelling. Why? Because I had other body parts swelling, because I had too much, I was retaining too much fluid and needed to get in that chair so the dialysis machine can do its job and filtrate and get all of that fluid out of me. It is important for you, and this is why I stopped to share this with you. Now, again, we're doing a lot of talking today because it's our first show, but let me just say this, because you need to hear this. All of that salty foods that we're eating, you have to cut it out. All of that processed food, when you don't know how they're cooking it, with all of that salt in it, you have to let it go. I have been to places, ladies and gentlemen, in our neighborhoods, in the African-American communities, you can find every carry-out imaginable. There's one place, I'm not gonna mention the name, you can actually see the salt on top of the chicken. On top of the chicken? On top of the chicken. Looks like the chicken is full of snow, but it's really salt. But we eat that. And then we turn around and we get all the hot sauce and everything, and we pile that on it. Then we turn around and we get those sodas and soft drinks. I'm telling you, ladies and gentlemen, I want to help you. I don't want you to be in the same situation that I was in. I don't want you to crave those kind of foods. I'm not going to name the places, because I understand it's going to take time. But the important things is, and you see I have snacks on here. We're going to do that in the next segment. But the important thing, ladies and gentlemen, is you have to start worrying about what you put into your bodies. You have to make sure that you use salt substitutes. And there's nothing wrong with herbs and spices. You can get herbs and spices for a fraction of the cost. Go to the market, grow your own. My next door neighbor has rosemary in her front yard. But the important thing is that especially in the communities that are underserved, we have to make sure we bring fruits and vegetables and alternative ways of eating and living. All of those, but listen, I am the #1 salt and vinegar potato chip lover, baby. I can eat salt and vinegar potato chips every single day, but what is that going to do? That's going to mess me up. So listen, keep in mind that you watch your sodium. You want to make sure that you don't overdo it. You want to make sure that you talk to your dietitian, talk to your doctor to make sure that you're doing what's right. All right, everybody, I'm going to get off my soapbox. We're going to take a commercial break. When we come back, I'm going to talk to you about some healthy snacks that I think that you would like. We'll be right back after these messages. Hey guys, well, unfortunately, this is my final segment. I did too much talking today, but it's okay because you had to get that out. So I just want to do a little snack for you. So what I try to do is I normally have a Sea Island moment before we leave the show every day. And my Sea Island moment is for all of you snackers out there. You want to make sure that you find healthy alternative ways because things are not going to change overnight. You're not going to listen to one Kidney Kafe and all of a sudden say, oh, my lifestyle has changed. No, baby. It's going to take time because when nobody's around you and that camera's off and your husband is sleeping, your wife has gone downstairs somewhere, and it's time for you to watch your favorite show, what you like to do, you like to get in that bed and pull out some snacks. So what we have is we have some unsalted nuts here. We're just doing, wow. And then we have some fresh raisins here. We have the little cocoa chips here. And we have our unsalted sunflower seeds. So what I normally do is I normally try to create a little medley. Look how beautiful that looks already. I try to create a little medley from time to time, but let me tell you what's important. What's important is me personally, even though I've created this little medley here, I call it a little medley, but you can call it a trail mix, whatever you want to say. But this is the important thing because I also have kidney disease. What I'm going to do is with my transplant, I'm only going to do this much. And I'm going to tell you why. Because nuts is high in potassium and it's high in phosphorus. So what you do not want to do is you do not want to make this whole bowl and you sit down watching the game, whoever your favorite team is, and you eat this whole bowl. You can't do that because it's important that we talk about, which we mentioned earlier, is PC, portion control. This is the portion control. This is the only portion that we're going to have. But guess what? Come on now. You got to, now we all know how to act, baby. You got to get in front of that TV and you got, Did you see what I did? I took one. So this is going to last me all throughout my show. Why? Because I know how to portion control it out because I have to make sure that I take care of my body and watch what goes in. What goes in? Because what did we say? It's either going to help us or hurt us. It's either going to heal us or kill us. So ladies and gentlemen, my time is almost up. And my drink, what I normally do is I always do a no sugar drink that I create myself. And a lot of times I have I'm so excited. I have this little juice thing that I squeeze to get the juice out and I make my own signature dishes. So I want you to make sure that you tune in every week. Today it was the jerk chicken and shrimp veggie delight. We talked today about sodium, we talked today about protein, and we talked today a little bit about phosphorus. We talked about that a little bit. We talked about potassium a little bit, but we're going to do a lot more of that throughout the show. So I want to thank you so much for allowing me to come into your homes. I'm really excited. Make sure you share the word, spread the word. And make sure that you continue to tune in so we can continue to bring you some delicious and amazing meals where at the Kidney Cafe with Chef Benne. So I appreciate you, and I want to see you next week where on Urban Television Network. I want you all to have a great, amazing week, and just remember to pamper yourself. It's your duty. Why? Because you are worth it. See you later.